Everybody does everything in Norway, I understand. Tone Kunst, Harald Krogtoft and Inge Johansen. I'm going to tell everything about it. Tone, you told that you will be on board last Wednesday that NRK biggest challenge is to change to new media organization and that you have to work new ways. Audience is not waiting for radio and television anymore until they get the news served. They want it 24 hours, they want it mobile, they want it online, of course. And you have to rechange your way of work. You have to perhaps reduce production, you said. And it all has to be done, and those changes quickly. There's a hurry. And you're going to talk about it this morning. I'd like to introduce yourself, all of three, when you do your stories and tell us all about your work. And I'm asked to ask you, the audience, to be highly participative in this session. There are post-it notes everywhere. That's the analog way to help us with the conference. And of course, we have Twitter with the hashtag The Way Forward, and maybe you can add CR13 also. But give your remarks on that. It will all be collected and it will be summarized afterwards. So that make it some more interaction, and we've got the mics also coming through. Tone, tell me.
Should I start?
Us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tone Kunst. I'm editor-in-chief and head of a regional office of NRK Nordland. And I've been the editor there for soon 11 years. Before that, I was editor-in-chief further north in Norway, and I've been busily introducing video journalism and new ways of working with integrated newsrooms and such things since, well, all through the since 2002. I've been here and there, abroad and in Norway, telling about how we're doing things. And I see that we have big challenges ahead of us still. We're in progress. We're never there. We're never finished. So that's where we are now. We don't have all the answers, but we have some, maybe.
Maybe you could...
Should I say something more about... yeah, I could introduce the station, Inge.
No, we need...
Or maybe our country, yeah. Our biggest challenge, actually, as a start, is that Norway is a long country. Inge, tell them.
Yes, but we need the presentation on the screen.
We don't get it yet. Okay. We are waiting for a few seconds.
Ta-da!
There we are. Here we go. So, this is Europe. That is Norway. Now, if we turn the map... In EU maps, you often don't see the northern Norway. You see it, well, a third of it, normally. So, let's go on. If Norway was turned around, it would go down to Rome. So you can see that the big challenge, as a start, is distances. We are not many people, but we have distances. So our region, we can go to them, our region is the mid-region, not the dark blue up there, but the light blue. It's 800 kilometers. So we have a main office in the town of Bodø, and then we have 5 local offices. So we'll come to that because John, he's working in one of these offices as a lonely rider, I would say, doing everything. There are, as you can see, if you see that some are blue, more or less blue, there are 12 regional offices in the Norwegian regional system. And in Nordland, we are a small station where everybody does everything, so we don't have an editorial staff, and then the technicians, and then the cameraman. Everybody is editorial staff. Yeah.
Harald could tell you more about that.
Yeah, we can start with Harald. He's a good example. Harald wanted to, I was thinking about saying that we have both young and old people working here because everybody can do it. It's not a limitation of age. And Harald said I shouldn't say old, I should say some have been young for a long time.
Yes,
okay, here he is.
Because I have been young for about 60 years. In the sense that I feel that I'm always learning something and learning something new. And as long as I'm able to learn something, I feel that I'm not old. Okay? When I'm not learning anything anymore, maybe then I'm old. But so far, I'm 60 years young. So I've just been younger longer than most of you. And should I say what I'm doing?
No, it comes in the film, doesn't it?
Yes, we are
Show
going to
the
show
video.
a
It
video.
says everything.
That says everything about me, actually. More than 30 years ago, I was educated an engineer of audio and video. And mostly I worked with sound mixers from this size and down to the real small ones. This I did for about 8 to 10 years before I also was given the chance to learn how to handle this piece of equipment. I became a cameraman and a video editor. And during the 90s, I both worked as a soundman, video editor, and a cameraman. About the time we were about to enter the new millennium, it was decided that we, in our region of Norway, should have our own regional television news. And it was natural that I was trained to become one of the technical operation managers and be seated here in the control room. But after a while, when one of our producers suddenly had to quit, I was given the opportunity to learn how to produce and be seated here. And nor this I could say no to. But in between these events, it so happened that we were instructed to reduce the staff. And in that situation, I, amongst several of my colleagues, were asked if I could be willing to try to make news television stories on my own, become a video journalist. And thinking about that we should reduce the staff with 20%, but not knowing who had to go, it was an easy decision for me to say, okay, I can try. And for the last 8 to 10 years, I have appeared on the shift schedule either as a producer or a VJ. But in the real world, I also work as a cameraman, video editor, and technical operation manager. But I have used more than 30 years to achieve my skills. Young people nowadays learn things much, much faster.
Her er nyheter fra NRK Nordland.
And Sigurd is one of those. He came to us for about 3 years ago as a newly educated journalist. Here he is reading the 11 o'clock radio news. But like most of the others in the newsroom, he is a multi-skilled person. And during a week, he has very different tasks. Like this, for instance.
This is the web desk. Here I distribute articles for the web. And basically the main difference between this and the radio news is that I can easily correct my mistakes. In my shift schedule, I work as a DJ every second week. And then I pack my stuff, leave the office alone with my camera, meeting other people and filming them and events. When I get back, I lock myself into one of these rooms, edit the stories, reading the comments, all by myself. And I'm also doing a duty in here every third week as a producer for our TV airings. This is a completely different task from the others, but to learn new skills is just a question about attitude. You have to try to succeed. And that philosophy was really comforting when I began to learn my latest skill. This, I did not try to learn before I became a father myself and was challenged to learn it. But now, I'm really glad I made the effort. Boop, boop.
So this was Harald and Sigurd. There are women as well. It's just a coincidence that we haven't presented them. But we're going to another man. We're going to Inge. As I told you, he's working in the local office of Lofoten.
So we're not going to do the other part that we prepared for?
No, we don't. No, leave it out. Yeah.
Then we just have to skip through a few pages. This is me on a regular day at work. I work completely by myself in the remote location, remote islands outside Bodø called Lofoten region. This is actually a good picture of how I feel inside my head, because I don't have all the equipment that they do at the maiden station. I have everything in my pockets. And I also work as a video journalist, and this is my radio office outside, and this is my car. And this is actually a complete broadcasting station on its own. If you see on the trailer, there is this big blue package, which is my camera equipment. The black one, at the very rear, is the radio equipment. And next to the seat on the bicycle is my web kit. So I can actually produce and edit and publish news for radio, TV, and web on the spot as I go. And from time to time, they tend to think that it would be nice to have like a live package, a live coverage from something that happens in my area. And this is my uplink kit. Next to the left downmost corner is my Mac with live wire, so I can go live on TV. This is my editorial suite. It's on a cafe. And that was not me. But this is, this is what we see when we are on TV. You don't see the whole truth, because the whole truth will be something like this. But in many ways you could say that being in an environment where everybody does everything, it's not possible to show you all the details of it. And what are we going to do next could be a good question to ask. And I think that we should regard most of the workers and the employees at our station, we should regard them as iPhones or smartphones. They are capable of doing everything on their own. And just to show you a brief example of what we have been trying to achieve back in Norway during the recent year, and what we are going to do something more of the next years to come, is using the iPhone as a complete editorial asset. So we have been attending, or I've been working as a trainer on the course called the Mojo course, the Mojo exercise course that we are in front of the conference. And I made, this is just a short package. It's not breaking news, but it's news anyway.
Drinking a daily glass of wine, does it help for anything? The unemployment rate in Europe is still increasing, but here in the region of Val d'Osalnès, there is a small plant that makes a huge difference. Albarino, the pride of the region, is the key element for wine production in a fairly new DO called Rias Baixas. And in recent years, Albarino is immensely popular all over the world. Luciano Rodrino is the founder of the DO, and he knows that his work is important for many people.
Y da de trabajo directa e indirectamente a mucha gente de nuestra zona. En nuestro caso particular, más de 600 familias, y a nivel general, unas 250.000 familias están afectadas directa e indirectamente a través de la denominación de origen Rías Baixas.
Last year, 2012, almost 60% of the harvest was destroyed because of the weather. This year, they pray for the right conditions.
So we need that 2013 will be a big volume. We need it. We need to sell more bottles of wine because the market is asking for Albarino.
285 farmers work for the cooperative of Martin Kodaks, a substantial part of the wine industry. Every single time this label is put on a bottle, it contributes to a more secure life for the many families depending on the wine.
This was made on an iPhone, and it was edited in Final Cut, but it could be edited on an iPhone as well. And the subtitles on the Spanish, I guess all of you know how to speak Spanish, so you understood what he said. Well, the Albarino, the grape, it has effect of the daily life of 600 families in the region. So it's quite a big achievement for a small grape to be like in direct control over the life of 600 families. But this was only going to show that the future is almost endless. And I'm one of the younger guys that hasn't been young quite as long as Harald, but I tend to think that to develop your own skills every day is the most important thing you can do as a journalist or as an employee within media. And I'm looking forward to what Tone is going to do with us next year. Maybe it's something brand new.
No, but the point is that we are so used to doing new things that it's not a threat at all. So it's easy to take new challenges that way because you don't have to change people's minds. They're used to adjusting, learning new things at all times. So if we need a new technical manager, if we need a new video journalist or another actually, out of 39 journalists, out of editorial staff of 39, 27 know how to be a video journalist, but they don't work as that at all times. They work in different types of works, and we fill them in where we have to. And we teach people. It's an everlasting project of learning people new skills in different ways. So you just have to update. And what people tell me is that this is
Drinking a daily
horrible.
glass of
Is it horrible?
Sorry.
Sorry, what did I do now?
No.
Yeah. Harald, do you think it was bad? You really had to. You thought that we have to reduce the staff. It shouldn't be you. Or how do you feel that it is to have to learn new things at all time?
How much do you pay me for the answer?
The normal.
Oh. No, of course, to learn new skills, that is, it's a challenge, of course. But it is all about attitude. If you think, okay, I can try to make it, then it's a bigger chance that you will make it than if you think, no, this I cannot try. The other day when I came and got the badge here, my name is Krogtoft. It's sort of difficult for the Spanish, I think. Because I asked the charming young woman who gave me the badge, could you please pronounce my name? And she came up with, it started with a K, but the rest was horrible. And she knew it, and I knew it, and we had a good laugh. And so I said my name, Krogtoft, and she repeated after me. And then it was much closer. So if she had thought, no, I will not try at all, she wouldn't have made it at all. But when she tried, she was almost there. I didn't want to push her anymore because that would be rude of me. But because she tried, she almost got it correct. So it's about attitude, actually. And to learn new skills when you feel that, this I can do. It feels great. Keeps you young.
One thing. One thing is about the attitude, but the other thing is also about the willingness to try the new things in kind of difficult situations. I'm working on a remote island community. Obviously, I like my job, I like my region. I would like my region to be presented all over Norway. So when we had the election coverage 2 years ago, we were discussing whether we should have a live session with interviews with the politicians on the national news. And we had no money to send a camera team. We had no money to have uplink. And we only had one journalist, which was me. So I said, well, I could use a tripod. I can put some extra light. I can do the sound work. I could be the journalist. And I also could, kind of construct and present and organize the whole session for the politicians to come with the food and with the drinks and with coffee and everything. And they said in Bodø, are you crazy? I said, yeah. So let's do it. And we did. And actually, we were live on air 4 or 5 times during the night program. And in between our live sessions, we were live on radio. And we updated on the web.
And we were live on the national election coverage.
Yeah.
So everybody in Norway could see it. And it was not a failure. It didn't go wrong. Nobody could know that it was all on his own.
So it's possible.
It's possible. And I admit, not everybody would do exactly that thing, but everybody can do many things, and everybody can fill in, and everybody can sort of stretch themselves until new levels. You just have to ask them to. Most people like to, when they are in an environment where you can be bad in the beginning. You can fail. Maybe you can take the story on the air. But that's what you have to do to be able to be in progress, to get further. You have to try. And then sometimes it's a failure, but they get better, 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 better. And we can see, we started out with video journalism they started before me with a few in 2000. I came in 2002. And then we really made it big, and we got our own TV news and all these things. And I can see now how much better we are than we were then. But so it takes time to achieve what you want. But you will always have some that are good enough to go on national news and do whatever, while you're having others that have to start a little bit with the easy stories. So 2 of them are here I can't afford to bring my whole office here, but you'd see the same kind of people. It's really, nobody can just say...
It's good
"Oh,
for
I
you
can't
that
do
you have
that."
us.
Yes.
Yes, very good for you.
But of course, it's also important to know that it is legal to make mistakes. No one can do anything without making mistakes. But you learn a lot from the mistakes. And when you feel that it doesn't matter too much if you make a mistake, they won't shout at you for that reason. It's easier, you know.
And we help each other.
Yeah.
You, in the newsroom, are very good at helping each other, and you can call at any time and get help from the technical manager or some colleague if you need. So people learn from each other as well.
But I do think that the coverage of the region in total is better off with multi-skilled employees, because if we should wait for a complete camera team and we need to bring all the stuff back to the main office to do the editing phase of it, obviously most of the good stories in my region would just dissolve and you wouldn't ever heard about them, I think.
And we are a lot on national news.
Yes.
News is our main thing, what we're doing. We're doing a few documentaries every year, but news is our head business. As you can hear, that we are not that many. So.
But I can see a lot of people here, they're nodding, okay, I can hear what they say. I don't understand shit. Why do they do it? What about the union? What about everything? So, was that your question? That was your cue.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was just waiting. You were talking. Yeah. I've got one question. If you do all those changes and you keep changing, what does that do in terms of quality and quantity for the product you have?
Oh, that's Harald's answer to that.
For the quality and the quantity of products you're doing online, which you didn't 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a question that I often get. And what I ask back then is, what do you mean by quality? What is quality? And the answer I get normally is, okay, it's a picture, it's a nice picture, right, white balance and exposed right, okay. That is quality, and good sound, that is quality. But then I say, I never heard about a story, a news story that made the top of the day because of its quality, if it has no content. But I heard of many stories with bad quality, but with important or content that people want to hear or see. Should we
show the bear example?
Should we show the bear example? This is some Swedish hunters out in the woods, and they are hunting for moose or something, and they hear something and they think it's a moose, and they take up their mobile phone. I want to film the moose while they shoot it or something, and suddenly a bear comes out from the woods.
Take down the lights and switch this one to monitor. No? We'll try once again. No. Oh, it's coming, it's coming. Yes.
Det är det mycket. Men nu jävlar. Tackar. Ja, öga borta. Va? Öga borta. Nej då.
So obviously this is more or less 20 seconds of black, but the sound does it all.
This wasn't our story, by the way. This was made by Swedes.
The Swedes, yeah?
Yeah.
They tend to do some good from time to time.
But of course, good quality will always be better than bad quality. There's no disagreement about that. But the quality doesn't make it on the top of the news. It's the content. So the content is more important than the quality, I think.
And I'd say that some stories are planned. Some stories we use several days for. We send our video journalists out every week on travel weeks, we call them. They'll be traveling for 3 days. They will be shooting material for 2-3 stories and edit it at the end of the week. And especially those, not any longer, but in the beginning it was like that those former cameramen that became video journalists, they had these perfect images, perfect shooting, perfect editing. But I think that you can't see any longer who was originally a journalist and who was originally a cameraman. And some will ask, well, can cameramen know the good stories? Can they be good storytellers? Of course they can. In my world, earlier, there was a cameraman, and we didn't have big crews for decades. So we had a cameraman and a journalist, and the cameraman often knew more about storytelling than the young journalist that was together with him. So they always knew it. It was just a push, and there they went.
And I think that the recent years, we have switched attitude, because we used to say, well, I'm originally a journalist, but now I'm working as a VJ. And you guys used to say, well, I was originally a photographer, but now I'm a VJ. But now everybody is like, well, I'm a VJ, and that's it. So we have kind of forgotten about where we actually originated.
And it's VJ plus, plus, plus,
Yeah.
plus, plus. That's what it is now. Yeah.
We have another story. I don't know if I don't need a mic. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Talking about quality, because there's another story that I made. We have on the Mac. We made it in a small boat, and I was alone as a video journalist, and there was this diver and one who was going to drive the boat, a small boat. If we had been one more person, the space would have been much smaller. Or if we had been 2 more persons, reporter, cameraman, and soundman, it would have been impossible to make that story. But since I was alone, we could make that story, and so that's all. That's a quality. And this story is about a diver in the north who dives for mussels, seashells, and sea urchins. And now he has some visitors from London, from a restaurant in London, from a with 1 Michelin star, and they probably wanted to buy some mussels and sea urchin from him. Hello?
Well, we need to switch to camera mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now he's going to pick up some sea urchin and some mussels and convince them. Han gjør seg klar til en ny dag på jobben. Men det uvanlige i dag er at her er kommet mulige kunder fra en Michelin-stjernetildelt restaurant i London. De vil inspisere delikatessene han henter opp fra havet.
Nu vi ska ut efter och plocka upp som kuskjell och som geiteskjell. Ja. Okej.
Ja, for her, på havbunnen utenfor Steigen, har Roderick Sloan funnet frem til områder hvor det vokser både skjell og kråkeboller, og ikke minst lært seg at det kan lønne seg å se litt under det øverste laget med sand. Men i motsetning til hva man skulle tro, lar han det aller meste av det han finner i et område være igjen. På den måten tar han ikke livet av havbunnen.
90%, det ligger okej, så tar 10% ut, så den nästa år okej, tar 10% ut från nästa område, okej. Det är sån typ av ting, jag ska ha den bärkraftig på nästan 100-150 år.
Dagens fangst, så fersk som det bare er mulig å få det. Men disse 3 hadde neppe stått her dersom de ikke tilfeldigvis hadde møttes i København, og Sloan vært sikker på at akkurat kråkebollene fra Steigen var de rette for deres restaurant i London.
And eventually, very recently, some urchins by helicopter, plane or whatever arrived in London, and they were lovely. They were a joy. So we thought, well, it's our way. We should go and find out where they're from.
Som tenkt, så gjort. Og tydeligvis kan også representanter fra anerkjente restauranter med Michelin-stjerner innordne seg både lokale kleskoder og atmosfærer. For her det kun kvaliteten på produktet som gjelder. Og ifølge noen av de mest kresne ganene I London det noe spesielt med kråkeboller fra Steigen.
Ja, straight out to sea.
Og at representanter fra denne delen av restaurantbransjen tar seg tid til å komme helt til Steigen for å prøve produktene herifra, ikke uten betydning for han som har fått dem hit.
Begge Trevor og Fergus veldig artige folk, og det en stor ting. Det uten tvil det en stor ting.
10 år har han brukt på å kartlegge forekomstene av skjell og kråkeboller I Steigen. Og fra sensommeren skal han nå levere fast til Michelin-stjernerestauranten I London. Nok en milepæl nådd for en som på alle måter har jobbet seg opp fra bunnen.
Okay. I think you can talk hours and hours about your job, but I'm going to see if there are some questions for you from the audience. Who has? Glenn.
John Inge mentioned the issue of unions, so it's the first thing I have to ask. How do you get around the problem?
We have monthly meetings with the unions, and they are into it as well. They are the same type of persons. So we don't have any problems with the unions. We haven't had. They understand that this
Why
is...
Why did you advise me to ask that question?
Yeah.
Because if there are no problems. Yeah.
No, but I know, because I know from other countries that more conservative environments and more conservative stations, that unions can be a problem. But in our country, they realize that we have to change. And so we try to find a direction. We're trying to... Everything is regulated. People get paid for overtime. They work in a shift system where they they know weeks in advance what they're going to do. Of course, with breaking news, you have to throw everything you got and just go away. But still, there are systems for everything, and we trust each other, and we can discuss and we find solutions. But they never work against us.
But that is a kind of a truth with two sides, because in the start, like in 1997, there was this big debate within the Union of Journalists.
Before I came.
Yeah, it was before your entrance to the station. But there was this big debate, and obviously all the what do you call it? Well, all the attitudes you had towards the VJing thing in the beginning was as is in the rest of Europe right now.
But that was the 90s.
That was the end of the 90s, yes. And then when video journalism first started to emerge, they saw that, okay, we can't bring up the quality debate, we cannot bring up the quantity debate, so where does that leave us? And it actually left all the journalists, being a member of the union, in a better position, because they had multi-skills, so they were actually had a better chance of keeping their jobs. So the more you know, the more you know. The more you know, yes.
And of course, this is...
There's another question.
Hello, 2 questions. First, how were you covering your island before introducing VJs, for example? Your island?
We weren't.
You weren't at all?
Yeah, maybe one story a year.
From your island?
Or 2.
Yeah, we had to send out people from the main office to cover it, and it was not covered as well as nowadays, that we have the Lonely Rider there.
And second question, do people in Oslo, for example, have same attitude to being VJs, or in bigger production centers you don't have that atmosphere?
It's coming very slowly in Oslo compared to the regions. I think, Ulf Morten, what do you say? Yeah, we know all about it. It's the regions have tested out the new ways of working, and slowly, Oslo is following.
They haven't seen
more
the light.
Conservative, and they have more resources.
No, I think it's easier to get young people to become video journalists than people that have been young for a long time. Because if you are a cameraman and have worked as a cameraman for 20, 30 years something, and suddenly are going to start all over again from scratch, you don't want to do that. You want to do what you feel you are able to do. So that's attitude, of course. No, I can't ask a question. No, I can't write a comment. Of course you can. If you have the attitude, I can try. Maybe I make a fool of myself, but I try, and next time I will be better.
But I think the main issue for most of you would be how to change the attitude within all your employees. How can we change the attitude? So obviously one reason, or one way to do it is to force everybody that is employed at your station to move to my island.
But in the beginning with video journalists, those stations that didn't bring it into a system so that people knew that this week they actually should work as video journalists, but took it from day to day. In many of those places, the day editor said that, no, we'd rather send you out with a crew. So you have to make a system out of it from the start. And it was very quickly established. And people really enjoyed working that way.
Would you consider that this is a general model for the future? More all news coverage? Or do you see some mixture between such?
80% of what... Yeah, sorry. We're finished.
Yes, but the microphone wasn't on, so a lot of people didn't hear him.
Did you others hear him? Yeah. But he was asking if it was a model for the future. And we don't know much about the future. We work by 3-year plans. Now it's the mobiles we really have to get introduced, and we have to change systems and what we do at all times. So I wouldn't know what is for the future, but I don't think that time goes backwards. And I don't think we'll have more money in our stations that we can work with big teams any longer. That time is past. But there are stories. 80% of what we do for news is made by video journalists. There are stories where we actually use 2 people. And it might surprise you. Of course, with breaking news, there and then, one person can film, but if lots of things are happening at the same time, it's better to have more people there. It's hard to be a video journalist there. It's easier if you can plan it.
Just to rephrase the question, if you had the resources, would you say that it's better to have a crew of 2 people than this video journalism evolution, except in very specific situation like on a boat? Or would you say that, no, it's better to be just a one-man band?
My experience from more than 10 years with video journalists is that it is better.
My experience from 25 years, the latter 12 being a one-man band, is that when you are a one-man band, you never play out of sync.
And my experience, I have a third experience, is that it's good to have both opportunities, If you're going to visit one person that's not used to media, and maybe is a little bit shy, if you come a camera crew, it's more enemies coming than if you come alone as a person. It's easier to get in contact with the person. And it's good to be a crew if there's something happening and someone has to, if a fire or something, and someone has to take pictures and someone has to find out what's going on. Then it's okay to be 2 persons. So both things are actually good.
I don't think we'll leave that possibility, but as I told you, most of what we do, really almost everything, is done by video journalists, but we can do other things.
You don't fully agree on that, the both of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before going to Glenn again, Grete, you're from Norway too. You know those people, and you came here to get some ideas. Do you got them already, or?
No, what I could talk a little bit about is the difference between the regions and the center. I used to work at the regional station for many, many years. And the last 4 years, I've been working for the culture department in Oslo National. And when I started working in Oslo, I discovered that they were struggling with the problems that we had been struggling with in the regions in the 90s. And I was quite surprised, and I tried to tell them that we were working in the wrong way. We were old-fashioned. And like some of you said, the people there are very experienced. They have been working with culture for 20 years, for 30 years. And me coming and telling them that we should do it differently because We had done that in the regions. That didn't really, I didn't manage to convince them. And it has taken quite a long time to achieve in Oslo what we achieved in the regions
10 years ago.
10 years ago. I have to admit that, and I had never thought it would be that difficult as it was. And I think what might push it on is that you run out of resources. You have to make your priorities, and you see, okay, do we want an extra journalist, or will we keep the sound, or the cameraman? And you really have to make the staff understand that when you do the changes, it's not because you want to save the money and use them to something that they can't see. You want to save the money to achieve something for your own unit. And that's quite a challenge. So I am impressed with you, really.
Okay. So it's about quantity also. It's yours, Glenn. No, come up.
So it was really just one other point. I get a very distinct impression that you work very cohesively as a team within the station. You know, if you share resources, if you can support each other that way. But the question is, does the audience know how you work? Do they judge you by what they see on screen, or have you shared with the audience?
Do you think they care?
Well, I don't know, but Harald, to answer the question, when you say that failure is you know, that's a necessary part of the learning process, I agree with you, by the way. But one of my experiences is that journalists can be intimidated very, very quickly in the environment that they're in if failure on screen is deemed to be a big event. So when you say that failure is a necessary part of the learning process, I wonder how the audience feel about that. So that's why I'm asking, do they know how you work?
But there aren't more failures in our news than others. We all make mistakes, but it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every week. It doesn't happen often.
And most of the mistakes are made offline. It's not on air. So obviously that is one of the things that Harald meant, that, you know, the first time you go out working on your own and then you come back to your office and the sound is shitty, the pictures are overexposed, then we are actually able to say we cannot make this like a complete package to air. And the audience, they do not know in a full scale how we work, and they wouldn't care anyway.
But
they judge us by what's on the screen.
I think also that it may be good, it may be bad, but we are producing in HD and we are producing for the web. And I think what is quality and what people expect to see has changed a lot with the web. Because like this bear story from Sweden, it might just have been scratched, not shown. In another time, I don't know, because it's the drama there that comes up. But anyhow, people accept almost anything if it's interesting enough nowadays. It might not have been the same at all times. And the other thing, do people know how we work? Because people at my station are very proud that we are sort of in front with new ways of working. And we have an open house. We ask people to come and see. We do it every second year. Some do it everywhere, like Ulf. But the people can come in and see the way we work. And we also have people coming that we have for a tour, a guided tour at the station and so. And when we tell them that we are working this way, they are all impressed by it. But they never mention that, oh, I thought it was like that because you're so bad. So they're polite. No, but it's really, you can't see a difference between the things we do and others do. I guarantee you.
One more question. Once you mentioned that you are starting to introduce a concept to have people in every tiny city or tiny place with the smartphone and to be able to catch up with the time when something happened, and they send you stories about that instantly, because your region is 800 kilometers long. So could you tell us a bit more about that?
I think that will happen here at 4 o'clock, won't it?
Yeah, but I could say that we want videos from our audience, but we don't want journalism from them. So we have the images, but we don't. They don't do the speak. They don't do the story. We get the
raw footage from them.
The videos, yeah. But raw material. Put it that way.
But we do the research and the quality control and the background check. of course.
Sorry, first of all, John, congratulations, because you are a very, you say, authentic, extraordinary Superman in audiovisual and media. That's true. That's true. That not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. So my question is, we have been talking about, past yesterday, I think, about the content. If you have enough time to think in content, if you want to be arrived at the spot by bicycle, you will have a lot of time for thinking, to do that 5 tasks in one. So it's quite complicated for us as journalists to think about the content. How to do that?
Well, obviously I do not go by bike everywhere, because my region is, my local sub-region is quite big as well. But I have a lot of time in my car to think, and I can make phone calls in my car, and I do not produce one news story every day. I do not do that. I have like every second day maybe. Sometimes it depends on, you know, what's going on in the region, but the ideal pace of working time would be like one story every second day. That would be ideal for me, but I guess not ideal for Tone.
It all depends.
Yes, it all depends on the quality, but you do have the time. You do have the time to think. I mean, thinking is going on all the time, but you have to make one story every day.
And a few times every day, a few times every year, there are big happenings in Lofoten that are so big that we even send people over to be together with John to cover it. But then it's not to help him. He's doing his things, they are doing their things. It's to get a better coverage. It's not to be his assistant, to put it that way. So...
what about the wages? Your video journalists are doing the same things, and do they all have the same salaries? Or what makes the difference, if there is a difference? Skills, experience, what?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because I mean the multi-skilled should be paid like twice or thrice at a time. So could you write it on a post-it note then?
Yes. Well, people have we have a system of individual wages, but they don't earn much more just because they are multi-skilled. They have an individual salary that is negotiated on. But it's not so that if you learn video journalism at that day, the next week you have more salary. If you learn new things, because we think that all this is part of being a journalist. A journalist work is what you do. So the technical means that you use doesn't make a difference. You're a journalist.
Do the unions allow the individual negotiations?
This has been negotiated on, yes. So everything is done in cooperation with the unions. The unions are very strong in the NRK, so we cannot oversee them, definitely not, and we don't want to. We cooperate. We try to cooperate. Sometimes, and especially when we talk about wages, we have different opinions, like in every country. But after we have finished the negotiations, life goes on again.
But the union has made a standard. There is like a minimum salary, and there is a fixed add-on for your educational background. There is another fixed add-on if you are in special positions within the system, and then you have the individual negotiable top of the wages. So it's not like...
It's not like starting at zero. You won't get paid.
Okay, Michael.
Having seen the operation in Buda, I think what we're looking at here today, and certainly what we saw in our recent visit, is an ideal. What you have achieved is quite extraordinary. I think you are a role model, and you are so far ahead of most of us. And listening to Glenn's contribution, and indeed my colleague Joe Reddington, I can only speak on the Irish end of it. And we have made great progress with introducing new technologies, and what Glenn is doing with Mojo, and what we have achieved on the VJ front. Alongside what you have achieved, we have a mountain to climb. Also, while I know you have negotiated with your trade unions, there is a difference between a trade union who are open to engagement and a trade union who come from a different culture and don't quite understand engagement and the difference between engagement and confrontation. We have a huge job to do. Genuinely, as a manager of this service, my colleague Paul Doyle is here this morning as well, my concern is and has been certainly over recent times, I don't know if we have the time to effect the required change.
I can see that. We don't have just one union, we have several unions, and I don't think it's wrong to say that the journalist union is the most open-minded. They see the challenges, they see it the most. But as everybody is journalists in our place, the others play along. So some journalists are not in the journalist union, but in other unions. But there is nobody who wants to go backwards, because they see this as a system that works.
Having been a video journalist in another company, I would say I don't think it's the journalist who's the challenge or the union. I think the management is the problem, or well, let's say, I think that what you have done in Bodø is amazing, and it is just due to good management. I think because all the journalists, even if they are 30 or 50 or 60, like to have challenges. So if you encourage them to do so, you get the trick, and you have done so.
But that is just what Goethe said, because if you are using the multi-skilled, talented journalists to save money and you put those money away upwards in the system, it wouldn't work. Then the unions would be outrageous. But if you use the money that you save to buy better equipment, better VG packages, you give all the necessary tools to all the journalists, then they will be glad to do the work. Because obviously, if you have all the tools you need, you could build anything. But if you are in lack of a hammer, then you should move to probably Ireland.
And we make a deal like everybody, even the woman who is working half a day in the reception, has an iPhone. When people get an iPhone, anybody, then they have to learn. We tell them that you get the iPhone, but you should learn to take a photo. You should learn now to make to film a little video. If you come by car and you pass an accident, you should be able to send it to our station. From the reception, we don't ask more than that. But for everybody in the newsroom, they nowadays they use the Report It for radio. And they call up the politicians that are somewhere else and can come to us and say, please install, because everybody has a smartphone. Please install Report It, load it down, report it for your iPhone, because we'll have better sound for our radio news. We don't have to have the mobile sound. So it's just you tell people what you expect from them, and people deliver. I believe in people.
Perfect. We've got 2 more minutes. Are there any questions left? It's all clear. Oh, I've got one question. Perfect. Yeah.
All of them.
No.
And in numbers, please.
No, we are 49 altogether, and I then take away we are a leader group of 5. It's me. I have 2 editorial editors. I don't remember the English name of it. And then there are day editors. I take all that off, and we get down to 39 that are, and we have 1 for IT. So when I take off 10, then I'm down to of 39.
For an 800 kilometers big area.
Yeah.
With a bike.
And 7 of them work as lonely riders in outside the main station.
The sub-regions.
And
yes.
we do. It's an integrated newsroom, so and everybody works there, and we do radio, TV, new media, web in the same room. We work side by side, and people switch, as you saw on the video in the start.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Harald. Thank you, John, Inge, and thank you, Tono, of course. Give them an applause. Thank you.